Hey guys. Um, so with the movie poster project, the horror movie poster project, I kind of left you hanging with putting a title on a movie. Some of you may have done this already, and that's fine. But I just want to take you through a little bit of what Marty showed you guys in his tutorial, and maybe some things that you could do to the text on your own as well. So in Marty's tutorial, he did a cool effect by creating a new layer and getting a brush, making the brush really big. So I'm hitting the key next to the letter P, the bracket key next to the letter P on the keyboard, and you can see the brush now is really big. So that bracket key is a nice little tool, so you don't have to go all the time go up to the top here and change the brush manually, which I'm going to go here anyway because what I want to do is change the brushes hardness to 0, which gives it that nice soft edge. And in fact, I am going to make this a little bit bigger, maybe even bigger than that. And in tutorial, Marty ended up just brushing a little bit of color through a layer. So, you have to pick your color. So at the bottom of the toolbox, way down here, I'm just going to click on the foreground color. And I'm just going to pick anything. I'm going to go with hot pink. And I'm going to click OK. And now I'm just going to brush through my picture just like that, so it has like a little faded edge up there. Now on Marty's project, he did a whole full document, and we already have our movie poster going, so we're really going to be using like part of the document. So the next move Marty had was he's going to actually add the text. So I'm going to make, my movie's going to be like this is, Steve Carell from The Office. So I'm going to make like, maybe like The Office of Horrors or something like that, like a little parody. So I'm going to get my text tool from the toolbox, and I'm going to go up right on top of the whole thing, and I'm just going to click, and notice it made a new layer in toolbox. So every time you use the text tool, it makes a new layer. That'll come in handy if you're adding some of this stuff down here on your own later on. Okay, so now that I have that active, I'm just going to type in the word office. And it's really small right now, but that's okay. I'm going to hit Command A on my keyboard. When I hit Command A, it actually swipes it, even though, because it would be really hard to kind of like highlight that right now. So I hit Command A to highlight it. The cursor was still active, and now I can just go up top here, and I could change my text size. If I need this to be bigger than 150 point, which I do, I'm just going to go get my Move tool from the toolbox. The Move tool is right at the top of the toolbox, and I can scale this up pretty big. If I want a different font, now would be the time to do that. So I can go get my type tool again. I'm just going to click in here somewhere, and I'm going to hit Command A again so it highlights it all. And then I'm going to go to the little drop-down menu for picking a font. And I do want to find something that is a little bit closer to the text for the office. I'm not going to get too picky, but maybe something like that. That's a little bit better. And if it needs to be spaced out or moved around like that, you have to go to the character panel, which you'll see at CHA right here. And in the character panel, what I could do is I could change the tracking to make it a little bit wider. Although that I and the F are connected, but whatever. Sometimes fonts are a little funky like that. Okay, so that looks pretty good as far as size. And I'm going to close this window because it kind of gets in my way by just clicking back on that button there, and then I'll close that up. All right, so whenever you want to play around with text with filters and stuff like that, this right now it's type. I can highlight it, I can change its size, I can change the font, but when I need to like mess around with it with filters and stuff like that, it needs to be rasterized. So I'm going to go to Layer, and I'm just going to go to rasterize. And now you can see the type icon went away, and now it's just regular text. Okay, here we can mess around with it. So one of the things that Marty did was he blurred this. I think it was white in his tutorial. I'm not sure. So if you want to invert the color, Command I will invert the color. Um, that's up to you. But I don't know if it really is gonna matter all too much. But that was Command I. That is invert. Okay, so um, what we're going to do is we are going to blur it. So I'm going to go to filter at the top, and I'm going to go to blur. And I believe he used a Gaussian blur. And you can see already that it's starting to blur and get a little more, scary type, ghostly or whatever you want to call it. And then he also played around with filters, and he went into the distort area, and I believe he used Wave. But you can use any of these. So I mean, I'm following what Marty did, but I really want you guys to do your own experimentation with this stuff. So I'll follow what Marty did and just use Wave. And the Wave is a little bit different than it looks in Photoshop, but it kind of does a very similar thing. So I do want to mess it up, but I want it to still be readable. So maybe I'll move some of these down to a smaller number so that it's not too crazy. Now this up here seems to be closer to normal. In fact, I'm just going to type in 12 for these two and see if that works. Okay, that's good enough for whatever we're doing. And then maybe number generators, that might make it crazier. Whoa. Okay. Well, you can play around with that and see. That's fine. All right, so now I'm going to click OK, and I'm happy with that. Another thing that Marty did in his tutorial was he used the smudge tool. So the smudge tool typically is located right where the blur tool is, and it's the third tool in this toolbox. So you have to click and hold on the blur tool, and we're going to go to smudge tool. Now you can play around with all these tools and make your text crazy. Have fun with it. This is also a brush, which I'm going to make bigger, so you see my brush out there on the screen right by the letter O right now. And I'm going to hit the bracket key next to the letter P, the one on the right, and now it's a little bit bigger. And what Marty did was, see, if you drag this, you can kind of manipulate the shape beyond what it was with the wave filter. So this looks like it's a hard edge brush, so I'm going to go back up here and make a soft edge brush so I don't get these crazy, there we go, that's a little bit better. With the hard edge brush, it kind of made like the breaks in this were very like abrupt. So soft edge brush will work a lot nicer, so you can play around with that. So that was another thing that Marty did. So the other kind of like cool trick that he did was he used the clouds filter. So he made another new layer. So the new layer icon in the layers window, remember, is this folded over piece of paper icon right here, and that's in the bottom of the layers window. When you click on that, you get a new layer. And then he set his foreground colors to black and white. So I hit D on the keyboard to make it black and white, because the clouds filter is dependent on the colors you have selected. If I left it pink and black, these clouds would come out pink and black. And the clouds filter is under filter, render, clouds. And when you do that, you get this awesome deal with the clouds. And now we're going to play around with our layer blend modes. So he made this one color dodge, and now you can see that that kind of looks like he's wearing like a pink afro, clown afro, but we could tone that down a little bit. So that was color dodge, allows some of the brushwork to come through from that other layer, and it kind of picks up the edges there a little bit, and it does that cool like cloudy type thing. So I'm gonna go back to this original layer here because I don't like how bright it is, and I'm gonna bring the opacity of this layer down a little bit, and you can see now the effect isn't so crazy. The other thing Marty did was on the actual text layer, he used I think it was subtract, and it punched a hole through the text of the other stuff as well. So you guys are gonna mess around with this. You can add text, you can make it your own thing. I don't want you to have like a repeat of exactly what I'm making. I'm gonna add some other text in here, and I'm gonna just make this the Office of Horrors. Horrors. I spelled it wrong. Good thing you can't see it. And I'll change the font and stuff like that. It's always good to kind of play around with the fonts and stuff. Like whatever fonts you play around with, um, you could really make it gives your project a whole different look. Typography is a very important part of design. So really be selective with your fonts when you do this project. So that's basically it. And you guys can, when you're finished with this, because you're going to put a title on this, I was supposed to change the color there, but it didn't change. So I'm not sure why that didn't change. When you're finished with this, you're going to put it into your Google Drive. I made a folder in there just like last time. Please make sure your titles aren't all like the same exact title. So, this is going to be Office of Horrors. I'll have to play around with this a little bit to get it to look just right, but it's not too shabby. Um, you know, Make sure that the title is something different. I think you can name it. There's a file. It was in here somewhere. I think I wrote about it in one of the other one of my updates. But you can also change the file once you save it. But we had some kids override each other's files because the file was the same exact name. So when they uploaded it, it like killed the other file. So I don't want that. I don't want people to lose credit if they actually did the project and then had something silly like that happen. So if you do see that there was a mistake in grading and stuff, just please let me know, and I'll I should be able to change it right away. All right, guys, good luck with this project. Have fun. Don't forget to save these things and possibly file info. You might be able to change the name down here. I don't know. But I don't know. You could change the file name once you save it. All right, kids, have fun.